Hello everyone. Welcome to Season 2 of the musecast on SeanShannon.org. In my first season I tackled current events and a lot of other things, but for this season I'd like to try a new theme. A couple of years ago I made a list of 10 interesting things in my room with the intent of doing a photo essay on them on my website. I never got around to that, but I kept the list on my computer desk, so I thought that it might make for a good video series. I suppose I can always find more things to make videos about if this works out for me. Anyway, let's start with the first item on the list, something that also has a semi-permanent home on my desk, my ZDTV Squishy Cube. That's what ZDTV called it. I didn't come up with the name. ZDTV was a short-lived cable channel dedicated to all things computers and technology, and it's still one of my favorite television channels of all time. Some background before I explain what ZDTV was and how I came about the Squishy Cube. Like most people my age, computers played a big part in my early life, and the fact that my father was really into computers meant that I was exposed to them more than most children were back then. I actually wrote my first computer program when I was 5 years old on a Sinclair ZX80. Yes, not the ZX81, but the ZX80. It was a simple craps game, but still, for 5 years old that was probably a sign of things to come for me. My generation was the one that grew up at a time when people thought that computer programming should be a required course in school, and I often wonder if that explains why my generation has so many smart thinkers. I can't think of another academic discipline that does a better job of making students break big problems like creating a piece of software into smaller problems than having them solve and test those smaller problems bit by bit until they eventually solve the bigger problem. That's a life skill that I think needs to be taught more explicitly to young people, and I sometimes wonder what else, besides simple basic computer programming, would be a good vehicle to teach those skills. Anyway, my father used to subscribe to PC Magazine, a computing magazine published by Ziff Davis, the ZD of ZDTV. I always enjoyed PC Magazine not only because I liked reading up on computers, but because they had great opinion columns written by people like John C. Dvorak, as well as a back page full of computer funnies called Control-Alt-Delete. I read PC Magazine a lot, so I had even more reason to be enthusiastic when our satellite provider at the time became one of the first companies to provide ZDTV to its subscribers. The network was so young and so groundbreaking for its time that I really didn't connect with a lot of the shows, to be honest. ZDTV was really in that throw everything against the wall and see what sticks age, and a lot of their early shows didn't resonate with me. Even when I didn't care for a show, though, I still felt drawn to watch it because what ZDTV was doing was giving nerddom a kind of legitimacy that it never had before then. The idea that computers and the internet were so important that they deserved their own 24-hour cable channel. This was a time when the only real cool nerds elsewhere on television were Daria and Mr. Spock from the original Star Trek, so even when ZDTV's early shows were kind of dumb, they were my kind of dumb, and I appreciated them for at least trying something new. I had a couple of interactions with ZDTV over the years, one of which was almost massive. One of their early shows, The Money Machine, was about the investment side of technology, which was obviously huge during the big 90s economic boom. Every month they held a contest where you got fake money to invest in the stock market, and each month's winner not only won a brand new computer, but also got flown out to the ZDTV studios in San Francisco to appear on The Money Machine. One month I actually came in 6th place among tens of thousands because I invested all of my money in CD Now right as they really hit their stride. I would have come in 1st place if I'd just managed to get my sell order in a little sooner. That would have been nice, but spilled milk and all of that. The second interaction was how I got that ZDTV Squishy Cube. Like a lot of television shows in the 90s, ZDTV sometimes aired their internet chat room at the same time that a live show was going on in order to provide additional interactivity, and they asked ZDTV fans to volunteer to help moderate some of those chats. I was a volunteer moderator for my favorite ZDTV show, The Screensavers, and for my work, ZDTV sent me some free promotional swag, including that Squishy Cube. I also got a ZDTV pocket protector, but I lost track of that because I never wore shirts with pockets back then. And I never even owned those kinds of shirts until late last year when I bought some red plaid fleece shirts because I never owned any of those back in the 90s. And I think I was going through some kind of midlife crisis. Anyway, The Screensavers was a how-to show for more advanced computer users that aired live in prime time and took viewers' phone calls in addition to sometimes doing the chat room thing. The original version was hosted by Leo Laporte and Kate Botello, and it was the closest thing to Nerdvana that existed back then. Leo Laporte punched his ticket to the Nerd Hall of Fame long ago, of course, but I don't think he's ever been in finer form than when he had Kate Botello's goofiness to play off of. The two of them had a chemistry that made the screensavers incredibly entertaining, even if you didn't care the slightest bit about computers. ZDTV isn't around any longer, of course. They eventually rebranded themselves as Tech TV, and then they merged with G4 TV in the only tech merger more disastrous than AOL Time Warner. Whatever good was left in the network by that point was quickly dispensed with, and now the only real vestiges left of ZDTV are YouTube videos and fan forums. ZDTV was on the air at a time before YouTube and widespread broadband access, and these days it's hard to see another cable channel about computers getting started up here because that kind of programming is better suited for online distribution. Still, though, there's a part of me that yearns to have ZDTV back on my television. I think it's the same part of me that wants MTV to go back to playing music videos even when I can call up any music video ever made on my computer or laptop or tablet or smartphone whenever I want. I've heard other 90s kids say the same thing, and I think it's more than just simple nostalgia at work. From about 1994 to 1997 or so, MTV really didn't suck, or at least they didn't suck all the time. They had good music videos from great musicians like Björk and Tori Amos and Sarah McLachlan, and even when they weren't showing music videos, they still had some good shows like Daria and The Head and The Max. Seeing that kind of stuff on a major cable channel helped us feel validated in our tastes in music and television, the same way that ZDTV made being a computer nerd feel cooler and more acceptable than it ever had before. We're not exactly in a post-television age now, but we've certainly gotten to the point where broadcast and cable television's primacy isn't what it used to be. It says something that an insignificant little dork like me can now make videos like this and have them be viewable to a worldwide audience. For all the benefits and drawback of this era where we can all publish ebooks and post videos, there will always be something about those earlier forms of media that will continue to hold not just nostalgia for those of us who lived through those years, but the allure of a time when it took bold vision and more than a little insanity to put forward a television network that thought instructions on how to install Linux on your computer was riveting enough to be primetime programming. I'm not ashamed to say that not only did I record those particular episodes of the Screensavers, but I still have the videotapes. Yes, I'm old. Leo Laporte brought back the Screensavers as a weekly web series last year, and he even had Kate Botello join him as a co-host to mark the rebooted show's first anniversary last month. It was wonderful to see the two of them together again, but as much as the nostalgia hits some of us right in the feels, it was also a reminder that now, no matter how good the new Screensavers is, it's just one show among many shows about technology and the internet now. It's not like the 90s when ZDTV and all it stood for gave nerds and geeks like us a reason to feel like we were making this world our own, and I suspect that I'll probably keep missing ZDTV for years to come. Join me for the next musecast when I'll take a look at another interesting artifact of my life. Until then, take care and be well.